episode of Beyond the Black Rims. I'm Mars Girl.
I'm Josh Knight the First.
This is Season 8, Episode 4.
Or Episode 170 if you're counting.
Man, that's a lot of numbers. 170? That's many episodes.
That is many episodes.
That is many multiple episodes.
That is one more than 169.
Thank you, as always, to the Patreon contributors at patreon.com/MarsGirl,
yes,
who make this and all kinds of other stuff I do possible. And, yeah, got a good full episode today, and I'm excited, but has there been anything else going on that we can talk about before we get into major points within the show? No?
John Cena! No.
Really?
No, it's just WrestleMania's this weekend, and that's a thing we watch. I watch fairly consistently, you do not.
I do not, no.
Yeah, it's almost like some people with religion, like you don't watch every week, you just go on the pay-per-view weekends, only on the high recognized days. The wrestling holy days.
I definitely have no idea what's going on. I don't really have a desire to know what's going on. It's not really
and yet
my
we're
thing.
Going to a friend's house to watch WrestleMania this weekend.
Because it's a thing to do with friends. I really don't know what's going on. I'm sorry. I can't really communicate with you about that. I can't communicate with you folks about that either.
Yeah, but it's funny.
I guess. I don't know.
Well, it's funny because every time we go out, we end up tweeting out what we think of the matches, and usually we come at things from a slightly different aspect than some other people do, which ends up getting us a couple of follows, and then we get unfollows after a couple of days once people realize, oh, we talk about more nerdy things than just wrestling.
Yeah, we don't talk about wrestling. That's not a thing we do.
That's not a thing we do.
No, sorry. I can't follow along. I'm sorry. I won't do it.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay,
I get it.
Cool. Anything else going on? Because that's not something I feel like I was very well able to talk about.
Most things I talk about, you're not able to talk about.
That's fine. Is there anything else?
I don't know, but I'm gonna talk about it.
Okay,
there was the It trailer.
Yeah, that trailer was pretty good.
It doesn't fall into what we normally cover here on the show, but like, admittedly, growing up, it was one of the few things that I synced up with everyone else on in thinking, wow, that was really scary.
Mm-hmm.
And not because I ever had a fear of clowns, because that's the first thing people assume is that, oh, you're afraid of clowns, right? Because
no,
of that
I'm afraid
movie.
of it.
No, I'm afraid of Tim Curry. There's a difference.
That's true.
If you grew up watching movies in the late 80s, early 90s in America, you had a very healthy fear of Tim Curry.
That's true. That's very true.
And the thing about it is, like, yeah, it's not his scariest role to me. That was always Legend for me.
That's a good
the
point.
The visuals there. But that wasn't to say, like, the atmosphere and mood of it didn't really creep me out, but in a good way. I think...
Of course.
That movie's as close as I get to enjoying horror movies, like other people go to the horror movies every weekend, like The Conjuring and Annabelle and all those other ones.
Yeah, but you want to see how the story develops. You don't just want to be scared for the sake of being scared.
Right, exactly. Like, there was such a rich cast there from the 90s miniseries.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I didn't watch it when it aired because, my mom wouldn't let me watch that.
No,
so,
of course not.
No, I just rented it a couple of years later when I could do that on my own. But it was great, you know? I really liked it. And this one, for as much as they're doing, and we were talking about this earlier before the show, I like what they're doing with it.
Yeah.
It looks like they're updating things in terms of the way they filmed it. I just hope they don't strictly adapt certain parts of Stephen King's novel, because some of them
don't really need to exist.
Don't need to exist and don't need to be spoken about, because certain parts of that book will put you on a list.
Well, Stephen King needs some help in a lot of ways.
We've known this.
But we've all known this for a very, very long time, so, yeah.
But that's just the nature of Stephen King.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So otherwise, I don't think there's too much else personal to necessarily talk about. No.
Not on my end. Do you have anything?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay.
Then, so in that case, we're just going to go ahead and let you guys know what our main stories for the evening are going to be tonight. Starting off with, we're going to be talking about Batgirl suddenly out of nowhere.
Very much out of nowhere. This just broke earlier today that Joss Whedon is in talks with DC and Warner Brothers to direct a solo Batgirl movie. So we'll be talking to you guys about what that potentially means, about what Whedon brings to the table, and what a lot of people are wishing stay off the table as far as the character is concerned.
So secondly, following that story, we're going to be talking more about Power Rangers, but this time it's going to be Korean Power Rangers that are also Japanese Super Sentai, and we've known about these upcoming Rangers, Power Rangers, Dino Force Brave. We've known about them, but now this past week Toei has released a whole bunch of information about this upcoming series, as it's a sequel to Kyoryuger.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to talk about all that information and what that really means culturally speaking, both for tokusatsu and for, like, relations between countries and stuff.
Yes, and the last thing we'll talk about tonight, of course, just this past Tuesday, we got a new trailer for Spider-Man Homecoming. We'll, of course, talk to you guys about what we expect from the movie, and if there's anything left to expect, given how much they showed us.
They showed us quite a bit, so we are going to give you some fair warning that will be shown and discussed. I hope you'll stick around, but if you don't want to see any of it, then I totally understand. That's kind of why we're saving it for last. So, yeah. There you have it. So those are going to be our upcoming stories, but until then, we've got follow-ups, as usual.
Yes, we've got follow-ups.
Please talk to me about these follow-ups, Josh.
You said please. Thank you.
You're welcome. We've got a job to do. Now do it.
Manners. Okay, hey. You just showed me manners. Don't ruin it.
Okay, so do your job.
All right. Oh, my God. Okay, so first and foremost, we will skip full-blown Justice League.
Oh, thank God. All right.
All right. We got plenty of news. We covered that last week on the show. If you guys want to talk about that, stick for the talk after we do this.
Q&A time.
Q&A time, yes. So we will go ahead and start with another member of the Justice League over on the CW, which would be the Flash. So we got this promo image from the upcoming episode, the Once and Future Flash, once they come back from break. The important thing to point out, I don't know if you can blow that up any bigger, is that the Flash finally looks to have his, as close as we can get, signature costume. Now, I don't know if you guys can see between us, he's actually got the full gold belt and the lightning stripes going down his arm, as should be there per the comic. Now, for folks who remember the pilot, in the pilot, they reference a Flash that looks more comic booky in Eobard Thawne's photo from the future, and we've been waiting and waiting for several seasons now to see if they finally get there. It looks like they're finally going to get there because of time travel again. Yeah, it's the Flash. We've come to expect that. But it's nice to see that. We're wondering how that's going to integrate into the actual show once we get there, once the Flash returns. Okay, and the other thing, as some people already see it, is another bit of information from the CW, our first look at Black Lightning. So here we have a picture of the costume there for the pilot. They're currently filming right now over at CW. Of course, Black Lightning coming out of the 70s and being revamped several times throughout the history of DC Comics. I'm not sure that I'm a fan of the costume.
Well, the only thing that I really have had a major problem with is, I will go ahead and blow this picture up. This is really annoying. So, blowing this picture up, I don't like those like basketball court goggles he's got going on.
Yeah, the scuba goggles.
They also really look like they're photoshopped onto this poster after it was already made.
It's entirely...
It looks really, really
if it's not
bad.
photoshopped, it's been touched up.
Yeah,
at the
clearly.
least to make the lenses more glary. I see the references there. I see the update from more recent takes on the character. Admittedly, Black Lightning wasn't high on my list of adaptations there for DC properties over on the CW.
Well, it's not like it's a bad thing that they're doing it.
It's not. I'm just saying, between the two of us, Blue Beetle, Booster Gold, where you at? Holla at your boy. We want to see those shows too. Maybe they'll show up here, because at this point we're going to run out of characters and they have to hit them sometime.
At some point, yeah.
Yes. Oh, there's a cat at my feet.
Yes.
That happens.
Yeah,
okay,
please continue.
Alright, so let's go ahead and move on over to some Marvel news. Okay, so we'll go ahead and talk to you guys a little bit about Infinity War. So for those of you who live in the New York area, there will be some filming out there for Infinity War, and they will need extras.
Oh, that's cool. If you're out there, get out there.
Yeah, so if you have the opportunity, check online. They're looking for them for the filming. Of course, this is going to be going on for quite some time now. Moving around from Atlanta now over to New York. They've also got some stuff over in Scotland that they're filming. They're all over the place.
Oh, sure.
Yes, so if you have that opportunity, please let me live vicariously through you. Over on the gaming end of things, we got our first look at the Telltale Games take on Guardians of the Galaxy today.
Oh,
of course, this new trailer shows a little bit of what the game has to... Yes, the invisible Mountain Dew, it happens. So this game will be episodic, the first episode dropping later on next month for the low price of $5.99. That's...
It's not so bad, yeah. For something that's episodic, they shouldn't be charging more than that.
No, they shouldn't. From the looks of it, they haven't gotten the same cast from the cartoon that's airing on Disney XD, but for the most part, they look the way they should. Gamora looks a little bit more like her comic book counterpart, but they are very heavily referencing the movie look of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and that makes sense with the new movie coming up later this year.
It'll be more recognizable that way right now.
Right, that's for branding purposes. We get it. Okay, so moving on to some sci-fi news over here. So, Star Wars Celebration, as if we had any doubt. They have confirmed that Mark Hamill will have several panels there at the convention.
Well, no kidding. Like, is that even actually news?
Well, what's also nice about it is that he has been confirmed to be the host of a panel dedicated to him specifically remembering Carrie Fisher.
Oh, that is nice, yeah.
So it'll just be him sharing anecdotes.
That is news.
Yes.
Okay.
So, you know, for those of you who I'm very jealous will be heading to Orlando for that, please send pictures, because yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure there will be a live stream of it, because
Yes.
they frequently do that.
Which makes it a lot easier to numb the pain.
Yes.
So sad. Okay, so moving on to some Godzilla news. We've got two bits of news here. As far as the movie is concerned, Godzilla King of Monsters, we've got another cast member to add here, O'Shea Jackson, who some people would see as playing the younger version of his father, Ice Cube, there in Straight Outta Compton. He has been added to the cast. No word on who he's playing yet, but the cast does continue to grow week by week. The other bit of information we have is for the Godzilla anime. They have confirmed this week that is going to be part one of a trilogy.
Yeah, that's exciting.
So, more options to see this new weaponry versus the King of all monsters.
Hope we get more information on that during G-Fest. That would be really cool.
That would be really, really nice to see, you know, some hands-on stuff where we can actually be like, hey, I touched some Godzilla stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So, so we have that to look forward to as well. We also have this picture here from the set of Pacific Rim, this official picture being released now that we can confirm that filming has wrapped on the sequel. And of course here we see from the China set a picture of John Boyega there as Stacker Pentecost's son. Of course now once we have confirmed that filming is done, now they're going into post, which means we are one step closer to this movie.
You're so excited about this movie every time we talk about it.
I love it so much. So much. I'm still a little bitter that we didn't get those Japanese model kits of all the Jaegers. And they were ridiculous.
Were they from Bondi?
No, I don't think they were from Bondi, but they were ridiculously expensive. They were only about maybe 1/144 scale.
Okay.
But they were like $85 a pop.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, there's some
They must have been pretty detailed.
They were fairly detailed, but you did have to put some work into them.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
You know, it's a model kit. What do you expect? Okay, so moving on to some other video game news here. We can confirm this picture here for the new Tomb Raider that will be released in less than a year on March 16th of next year.
He means it's a movie.
It's a movie,
not a game.
Yes. Well, it's a video game movie.
It's a film adaptation of a video game.
Now, specifically, it's the rebooted Lara Croft from these last couple of years.
The rebooted Tomb Raider.
Yes. Yeah. So here we can see Alicia Vikander, who is playing the role of Lara Croft this time around. Interesting thing to note now, the only people who have ever played Lara Croft in the movie, Oscar winners.
Well, I mean, that's good, considering I would not consider the last couple of Tomb Raider films to be Oscar-worthy films.
Fair enough, and I would agree with you, but hey, it doesn't hurt.
Now, my question is, especially because the picture is this small on the screen right now, is, where is she, because all I see are trees?
Well, yes, we'll go ahead and bring that up here, so...
What I mean is that she's full of brown, and the scenery is very brown and full of trees.
You're making fun of camouflage.
Yes. I'm saying that this is a very brown photo.
So?
Please continue.
Oh
Never
my
mind,
God.
you missed the joke the first... Oh my god.
You're terrible at this. I can't believe it. Okay, so moving on to some other video game movie news. We have confirmation of the title for the sequel to Wreck-It Ralph 2. Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet, Wreck-It Ralph 2. That's kind of a long title.
Yeah, and is also like a direct reference to what's her person who is famous that doesn't deserve to be famous, who broke the internet by showing her butt on the internet? Is married to Kanye West? Oh, well, I'm glad we've forgotten her name, because somebody else here is going to tell us what her name is.
I care at this point, but I know what you're saying, but the point being, the title is in reference to Ralph no longer being tied down to one video game. He will get out of his cabinet and then be able to go to gaming through the internet there in the game. So we'll probably have the potential there for a lot more cameos and crossovers from
I didn't
different
actually
games.
want to know her name. I didn't need Kim Kardashian in my life. I did not actually need that.
Well,
so
I didn't either.
No,
but,
thank you.
But forget that. We're talking about Disney.
Yeah. So are we talking like MMOs here?
That's a very big possibility.
Online shooters.
Yes, that's another possibility too. Mm-hmm. I think it would be funny to see personally a crossover, like a chance for him to get into a shooter, like say Overwatch, and interact with some of the characters there. I just think it would be funny.
It would be funny, but at the same time, gotta be careful with Disney showing too much violence. Granted, there was a game in the previous movie that featured shooting, but it was shooting aliens and not like people. So I don't know.
We'll have to see, but
that.
I imagine they'll be able to succeed in delivering on a good sequel this time around, because the first one was still very good in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. So I hope the second one's good, even if I'm not really digging the title.
Yes. Okay, so let's move on to some anime news here. Interesting bit of news here from Crunchyroll. They have confirmed that they will be simulcasting Attack on Titan Season 2.
That's starting this Saturday, I want to say. I just received an email on it, in fact.
Right, so for those of you who've been waiting to see that, then, here's your chance. We'll be able to see it officially here stateside. The other bit of information that I would like to share is that they are now streaming G Gundam over there. G Gundam being one of your favorite series as well.
Yeah, which makes me kind of bummed. There were, it was like, 5, 6 or more years ago that somebody spent a lot of money and donated me DVDs of G Gundam. They were very expensive at the time, and now you can stream it for free on
Yeah, but now you've got those hard discs
that they don't print anymore.
Yeah, so those are collector's items.
They are, but like...
Look, just be happy. Be happy for yourself.
I'm also happy that... I am legitimately happy that we have not lost G Gundam to the world, and that it still is in circulation out there to this day.
Now, if we can get Gundam Wing back in circulation over here, I will be very happy.
Well, there will be a very large generation of Toonami weebs that will be very, very happy.
I am one of them.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, okay, so moving on to some very interesting news here. So now we're getting reports from several different outlets that Warner Brothers is courting Get Out director Jordan Peele to direct their live-action take on Akira. So, the idea here...
Is he nerdy enough to cover Akira?
He's fairly nerdy. Jordan Peele does have quite a bit of nerd cred to him.
I believe it.
That having been said... the question is he the right fit? Because granted, he would seem like the hot director now when he takes a $6 million movie and turns a $120 million profit on it.
Now, people are just saying they want him for this, right? He's not saying he's interested, and nobody is saying he's actually signed on to this thing.
No, just that they are seeking him out right now. I don't know that he would be the best fit for it. Admittedly, he did a very good job with his debut.
I would want him to get one more thing under his belt, but from Hollywood's perspective, anime needs to get another thing under its belt that actually survives.
Right, and
getting a new director, even for as good as Get Out is, he's still a new director.
And the thing about it is, a lot of outlets are reporting that it's looking like Ghost in the Shell might open soft this weekend, not quite meeting expectations. For some people, that's no duh. For other people, it's like, damn. But
it's no duh, but damn. It's not like I want an anime adaptation to flop. I expect it to flop, but I don't want it to actually flop, if you understand my meaning.
I do. But the idea of it here is perhaps with a different take, granted as deftly, I shall say, as he was able to handle... the different racial overtones there in Get Out. Perhaps they're thinking he'll take his perspective and add that to Akira, and that might qualm some people's fears about it.
Perhaps.
There's that potential, but...
That shouldn't even be an issue in Akira. Granted, people are already upset with Ghost in the Shell for not having a purely Japanese cast, or at least a Japanese major in the leading role. So
and from the plot description that we still have from Warner Brothers,
it's supposed to be in New York,
Neo Manhattan.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll have to keep an eye on this to see where it goes.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, so we'll move on to some other news here as far as Tokusatsu is concerned. Okay, so of course we did our spoiler-free and spoiler-ridden reviews of Saban's Power Rangers, which of course debuted last week. We have those numbers for you. They debuted at number 2 with a little over $40 million at the box office. That's not bad.
It's not bad, but realize Disney still has the stronger pull.
Right, Beauty and the Beast, of course.
No duh.
Yeah, making money very quickly over there. But by most accounts, people seem to like it. Or at least like enough of it. That's probably the more accurate way of saying it.
Yes, yes.
So that does put things in perspective as far as getting that sequel greenlit, those 6 other movies that they want to do.
Well, you know, that China market, they're waiting, like, most of Hollywood these days is hoping that their big box office hits also do well in China, and China's gonna be what determines whether or not gets that sequel solidly, I think.
Right, because it hasn't opened in Japan yet, and they just confirmed that China will get it.
I actually am not expecting much out of Japan, but I am expecting a lot out of China.
Yes, more people are expecting that now, especially going back to Pacific Rim 2, because China sucked up the movie so well, people went out in droves to go see it. That's part of what drove them to film there.
Well, realize, too, on top of that, in order to get a Hollywood film to actually hit cinemas in China, you have to have a certain amount of Chinese content with a Chinese actor in it.
Yes.
Power Rangers has that, so it's like no question that like they're already going to be excited over it because they see their own similarities within the film. So we'll see how well it does in China. I think it will do well in China, and I'm actually not so certain about Japan. That's my guess.
That's fair enough. Okay, and let's move over to some news with Kamen Rider Ex-Aid. So the first thing that I am very glad to talk about, I've been complaining about it over on Ex-Aid Replay for several weeks now. They have confirmed that starting this week, Daichi Miura's Excite will be back as the opening theme with a brand new opening there for the show. We get to hear it.
The visuals to
yes,
it
for the opening credits. We finally get to hear it again at the opening proper. Thank you, Toei. We've been waiting. Because the thing about it is, I like the song. I really do. And I like a good opening. Mm-hmm. And like we were saying when the series first started, it wasn't nearly as kiddie or kitschy as we thought it would be, as far as the visuals are concerned.
Right, well, the first episode, to this day, I still think is the worst episode of Ex-Aid. It's the most childish episode of Ex-Aid, and really does a poor job of setting the overall tone of the rest of the series that comes after it. But after that, it gets way more serious than you expect.
At least it's not the case like Kamen Rider Drive, where I have to tell you, wait 12 episodes, and then we'll get past all the kiddie stuff. No, you just wait
one episode, and like it immediately becomes easier for an adult to palate.
Yeah. So yes, we have that confirmed. Glad to hear that. The other big thing we had were scans from this week showing our one new rider and one new rider form. So here we have a look at Palad's, or I should say Paradox's, level 99 upgrade, which he will achieve by using a gamer driver along with his Gashot Gear Duel. And then, of course, right next to him, we see Kamen Rider Poppy, who will debut in episode 26. Of course, this is the confirmed form for Poppy People Papo, getting a Buggle Driver 2 and using that to transform.
Now, I had written a news article on Tokusatsu Network about her earlier in the week. They were really trying to suggest that she is the first female rider to get her own personal transformation device that doesn't get passed around to other characters, that's unique to herself, but that doesn't seem entirely accurate unless there's something we don't know.
The best way, and I was thinking about this too, the best way you can explain that is because they have confirmed that the Buggle Driver 2 will not only be used by her. Kamen Rider Chronos, who will eventually show up in the series, will use it as well. The thing to define her there as far as the transformation device is concerned is that she gets it before someone else uses it.
That's entirely possible.
Because with any other one, in Ryuki, Kiva with the Ixa driver, Kamen Rider Wizard, someone else uses the driver before the female gets it.
But even then, it's not going to be unique to her because somebody else is going to use it not long after her.
And technically, it's just a repaint of the one we've already gotten, so no matter how you look at it, it's not quite accurate.
So they were really, that news article I was translating off of was really trying to spin it like, this is the first in Kamen Rider history!
Then you don't know your history.
Yeah, they were spinning it pretty bad, actually.
All you had to do was watch.
Yeah.
But at least, we have these looks at the costumes. I really surprisingly like the blend of Knockout Fighter and Perfect Puzzle there for Paradox. I wasn't considering getting his Gashot, but considering the form, I might reconsider. It's kind of cool.
It's a little cool.
Yeah.
I'm getting rid of it.
Okay. But yes, that's all our follow-ups for the evening. Let's go ahead and get started with our first story.
Alright, cool. So, looking at Batgirl and Joss Whedon, everybody. Batgirl and Joss Whedon. Yeah, that's the news. Alright, but really, I mean, there's not all that much more to it than this, other than what we can spin as conjecture. So this was just what? Was it today or yesterday?
Today, hours ago.
Yeah, just hours ago, they were talking about putting Joss Whedon on this Batgirl movie, which I understand is not a solidified thing.
From the outlets I'm seeing it from, there's ink on paper.
There is ink on paper. Okay.
Yes. Some other outlets I did see are reporting it as, it's a maybe. The news I'm getting it from, which is just one of my trusted sources, says that it's...
Hype?
Yes, superherohype.com. They are stating it as, no, this is confirmed. So that's where we're going from with it. Now, admittedly, Joss Whedon is no stranger to nerd culture in the slightest. You know, you got Buffy, you've got Firefly, of course, the Avengers movies, all of these different things which, you know, people absolutely love and adore. And in that sense, it seems like a no-brainer to ask him to come over to do something for DC. As long as it's not Snyder, I'm happy. The fact that it's somebody who has nerd cred is happy for me, to realize. But admittedly, there's some questions that come along with it.
Right. Because even though everyone really liked Buffy and Firefly, so we move into more recent stuff such as Avengers.
And Age of Ultron.
The female characters were not treated so great, and I want to say there were some kind of tasteless quotes he had made about why he had made some decisions with certain characters.
A few. So the thing about it is, there's I wonder about, shall we say, conflict of interest as far as characterization is concerned. Now, looking into it here, the preconceived notion across the board is that we're going to be dealing with Barbara Gordon, the original Batgirl. So there are people asking, well, will it be Stephanie Brown perhaps, or Cassandra Cain, one of the other Batgirls that we've had, over the last, 25 years or so.
I mean, Barbara Gordon seems like a pretty surefire decision.
That makes sense to me, considering, we're already talking about Nightwing a couple of weeks back, that they're looking into a Nightwing solo movie. It would just make sense if we're going for this.
She's been written in a relationship with Nightwing before.
Oh, of course,
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, as far as that goes, that makes sense, that it would be Barbara Gordon. Now, the question, of course, that comes along with that is, where do you tell her story as far as it's been spun over decades? Because, of course, we had her run up until several years ago, where she, had a successful career as Batgirl, retired for a little bit. Then, of course, there was the incident with the Killing Joke, and then she became Oracle. And then in more recent years, they've kind of worked around that.
Or semi-retconned
it to where now she's younger and still Batgirl in that cool, admittedly well-designed...
Has not been, crippled.
No,
it has not been crippled, so she continues to be able to do her job, rather than moving into the position of,
Oracle?
Of Oracle, yeah. Which I think would be really interesting. Granted, I can understand people's complaints once you get up to Killing Joke about how they feel she's really poorly treated and mismanaged within that story of the Killing Joke, which is why they kind of sort of tried to fix it-ish in the animated film, and I feel like they didn't really do a very good job with it. But you can tell they were like, we have to make this better so it looks like she was a very competent character before this happened to her. But I feel like that incident also turned her into another great, fantastic role within the Bat continuity.
Right, within the Bat family, because in that sense, I always really liked her as Oracle. She was a very integral part of the Bat family, and those of you who watch the show can't lie and say that over on Arrow, that Felicity isn't just Oracle Light. They make that joke about her. Saying, I need a code name. How about Oracle? Taken. See, that's a reference back. But the thing about it is, that kind of character works really well, but admittedly, DC is trying, obviously here, to branch out and kind of listen to fans, while at the same time thinking, okay, we can't do the grim dark stuff anymore. I know, we were all hoping we could still do that, but alright, we gotta go in directions they want. Alright, so let's do Nightwing. let's do another Suicide Squad that made money. And let's do Gotham City Sirens. Let's do that one too. A lot of women in that. People like women. We gotta add on to that. Batgirl. We're gonna do Batgirl too.
Well, here's an idea. What if they decide to go the trilogy route, because that's the popular thing to do these days? You give her a good, solid first movie. In fact, maybe movie and a half, movie and 2/3, and by the second movie, you do, unfortunately, put her in the wheelchair. Maybe not in the method used in The Killing Joke, but you give her that venue to then, at the end of it, still find a way to be an incredibly powerful and useful character as Oracle, and the third movie is her continuation of her going on into being Oracle and still being this really awesome character who happens to be wheelchair bound, and so she's representative both of women and of paralyzed or handicapped people. Handicapable people. So, excuse me, but I think that could be a good idea if they were to go in that direction. I bet because I said it, they won't do it, but it would be cool.
Right. Now the thing about it is, people are asking, could there have been somebody else who could have directed this? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
There is no shortage of directors out there. There is no shortage of female directors out there, as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Point being, this is WB trying to make what makes sense on paper, and they mean this kind of paper. They want to make sure they get their money back.
Yeah.
Because with these decisions, specifically with the ones I just mentioned, Batgirl, Nightwing, Gotham City Sirens, Suicide Squad 2, they're trying to make smarter moves.
Mm-hmm.
They may not be the smartest moves, but at least it gives people cause for hope. The whole idea here is that if they're all going to be connected, actually connect them.
Yeah, that's true.
Actually make them good, solid stories, like you're saying, that actually develop these characters and bring richness to them. A similar thing along that, I mentioned Gotham City Sirens. One of the actresses who a lot of people are hoping gets cast as Poison Ivy in that, Jessica Chastain, went on record as saying, I would consider it if they wrote her as a subject, not an object.
Yeah, that's a great way of phrasing it. That's a fantastic way of phrasing it.
And the same thing applies to Batgirl, I would say.
Yeah.
If they treat her as a subject and not an object, and you might as well, because, you kind of base the movie around her.
I feel like, Catwoman has always been portrayed really similarly as an object and not a subject.
That's something that they're looking at for Gotham City Sirens specifically. Now, I do appreciate the idea that instead of just connecting her to Gotham City Sirens, which I think would have been a really no-dud decision, kind of similar to how Batman was put into Suicide Squad, they're deciding to give her her own movie, which sounds great on paper, but in function, we're going to have to see how that works out.
Right.
Now, as far as casting goes, I'm not going to make any conjecture right now. There's any number of capable actresses who could play that part, could play it very well. I know I was one of those people who was actually hoping that Jenna Malone was playing her there back in not quite Justice League, but of course we were all wrong because Snyder couldn't make a good casting decision there. But really, it has to do a lot with the writing. Because in most cases, I actually do believe in most of the people they cast for these movies. I don't have a problem with the casting, except for, Lex Luthor. But
you're right.
But aside from that, the writing has to support it.
Of course.
Because you can only act so well around a crap script. I've said that several times. Hopefully that's the case here. Hopefully, to appease audiences before they even get started, Whedon brings on some good female writers.
Yes, that would be amazing if he would actually do it.
A good think tank there, Warner Brothers. I know you can afford it. You didn't lose that much. I mean, you lost, but you can still get this back here. It doesn't take a lot of time, or rather, it doesn't take a lot of effort. Just put in the effort to put out better than what you've been doing before.
Yeah, but some effort is more than the no effort we were putting into it before, and that's hard.
Do you want to make money? Do you want to make money?
They would be nice if they would actually want to make money.
Yeah,
that would be
so
nice.
Here's hoping. That's what I got.
Okay, cool. That's fine with me. Thank you, guys. So let's go ahead and make a move on to what I'm basically calling K-pop Rangers.
K-pop, okay.
Yeah, K-pop Rangers. So what you're looking at here is a promotional video that was released by Toei, and actually an almost identical version was released for Korea. This is Power Rangers Dino Force Brave is the official original Korean language name of the show.
But in Japanese, it's being called Juden Sentai Kyoryuger Brave.
So, it happens to be both Super Sentai and Power Rangers at the same time. The Japanese version of this trailer, in fact, says out loud, the narrator says, Juden Sentai Kyoryuger Brave, and then immediately the Korean cast says Power Rangers Dino Force Brave. And so they both coexist
understand,
at the same
people,
time.
we are through the looking glass here. This is jelly and the peanut butter right now.
Okay, can we start this really long tale of how this comes to exist? All right.
Okay, so I'll start it. Of course, several years ago, over in Japan, we had an installment of Super Sentai called Juden Sentai Kyoryuger, which ran for its run of 49 episodes. It was very fun, one of my favorite series there at a Super Sentai. And that was it. And then, of course, we moved on to other seasons there. I think, what was it? Tokyuger came right after that. Point being, we had that series. Saban gets a hold of it and then adapts it over here, of course, very famously as Power Rangers Dino Charge, and then eventually Power Rangers Dino Supercharge. So that has its run. That's pretty well liked over here. We met one of the actors. That's great. That finishes its run. So Korea. Now, Korea is a very interesting portion of the world to look at as far as this is concerned, because over there, mainly what they do is this interesting thing where they will show the show that is Juden Sentai Kyoryuger, but they will call it Power Rangers Dino Force.
Thus, both Toei and Saban get money at the same time in Korea.
Right. Now, the very interesting thing is this show in particular, which is being billed as a direct sequel to Juden Sentai Kyoryuger.
But it's being called Power Rangers.
So it's both.
So realize, Sentai's been running since the 70s, then we take it in the 90s and we call it Power Rangers, then we ship Power Rangers back to Japan and they dub over it, and then Korea's like, well, we want some of this, but they get the Sentai version of it and they dub it over, but they call it Power Rangers, and now they're like, well, we want to make our own Power Rangers, and Toei's like, we'll help you make those Power Rangers, but we have to take it back and call it Sentai, and they're like, okay.
And that's what we've got now. Now we've got this new trailer for this new cast, completely Korean cast, over there. You had just done a story this week about...
I did several stories this week,
about
yes.
these new characters, these new brave heroes that we're going to be seeing in this series. Now, it's worth noting here that we will be able to, at some point, see the series, because not only is it airing in Korea, it's also getting dubbed and subbed for Japan.
So somebody eventually will subtitle it in some language somewhere that you will be able to read or hear or something. So we got this all Korean cast. If we can go ahead and go down the list, we talk about
here.
Brave Kyoryu Red is the Japanese name, but he's also, they're calling the Kyoryus, they're calling them Dino Force Brave, Dino Force Red. So they're interchanging
Well, for the purposes of this, we'll refer to them by the Japanese nomenclature. So Brave Kyoryu Red.
Brave Kyoryu Red, whose name out of suit is Juyong Kwon. I get the feeling I'm going to eventually pronounce Korean names incorrectly at some point, as I have not been well practiced in Korean, so I apologize for that. But his character type is that of a kid who's like secluded himself up in a mountain his whole life to try and gain strength and become the Dino Child, and he's looking for his long-lost brother that he hasn't seen for his entire life. And we move on down to Brave Kyoryu Blue, who is an idol member. He's a member of a K-pop boy band, which is hilarious because each and every single one of these actors either is or was a member of a K-pop band.
Yes.
Each and every one of them. And they're not even trying to change Blue. He's a member of a K-pop band in canon.
In canon there for the show, he's part of a group called Superboys.
Which is a really terrible name for a group, if you ask me.
But it's believable because, like, there's 40 million K-pop groups there in South Korea, so...
So he's handsome and snobby, but he believes in fighting smart. So
Okay,
good
so
for
that's one
good
thing.
for him. Brave Kyoryu Black is a police officer. He's the oldest member of the group, and he's got superhuman strength, and he's really strict with rules. But he's actually a kind dude.
Now, those two attributes there, superhuman strength and the oldest of the group, it's worth noting that those attributes line up with the original series Kyoryu Blue, and his actor is actually going to be the one voicing him here for this series.
Even more, if you were cross-eyed about this before, it just gets so much worse. Brave Kyoryu Green, I was also not mentioning like their actual character names before. You know
Well,
what?
we've stopped now.
So,
We've gone too far. We
so
can't go back.
Green is a super rich dude, and he's
spoiled.
He's really with the times. I believe in his interview that he was giving earlier, he doesn't necessarily understand how like normal people live. He doesn't get it, but he's really good with a gun, so good for him.
So in that sense, he's like the original Kyoryu Black.
Brave Kyoryu Pink is a really ambitious girl who wants to become a nurse, and she's feisty, and she doesn't permit mistakes, but she's very, very fast.
Okay, so
Yeah,
I mean that's a little bit more original. Fine.
Brave Kyoryu Gold is of particular interest because he doesn't start out as part of the team. He in fact starts out making a deal with the bad guys, the Neo Deboss army. There's some sort of evolution of the original bad guys from the original series. So he's made some sort of contract with them, and he's fighting against the other 5 members of the team. We don't know why yet. He's apparently so strong that he's holding his own just fine against the other 5 members of the team, but we don't know why it is he's doing this just yet.
Now, the interesting thing to point out there is the fact that there's not this whole thing with Dogold, holding him within armor, and then eventually he gets loose to become a good guy. He's bad to start off with, kind of almost like a sword for hire sort of thing.
Yeah, and he works alone, so...
And admittedly, like, it's not like he's the only one, but I think he has a really pimp jacket. Admittedly, all of them have really pimp jackets, which are available, but they're expensive.
But the gold is not available.
Except gold, so I might have to just cry.
But we've got the return of characters like Torin,
Luckyero and Candelira, of course, from Kyoryuger there. Luckyero and Candelira were bad guys, of course, became good guys. Very funny, comical characters. Torin, of course, being the mentor to the cast.
So they're reusing these suits.
Yes.
They have not been repurposed.
And as I mentioned before, the original voice cast for those characters in Japanese, we'll be voicing them again here for the dub of Kyoryuger Brave.
So we've got also brand new, we're going to call them Zords here for this. I'm sure they in Korea will call them Zords.
Because of the Power Ranger nomenclature.
Well, actually that's not true. They were saying Juden Ryu. Well, they were saying Juden Ryu in the Japanese.
Well, Juden Ryu would be the Beast batteries.
The Beast batteries. We've got, what were they called before? They're, Juden, they were calling them Juden Ryus. They're the mechas that are dinosaurs. So, this Red's got, what were we calling him? Guntira. So he's a Tyrannosaurus with a gun on his head.
With a Gatling gun. Now, admittedly, when it comes to the Zords, or mech I should say, it's very noticeable in the redesign what they did. And for the most part, all they did was repaint them. Mm-hmm. Some of them were reassigned color, and then they've added something new to them to make them distinguished from the original Kyoryujin.
All these mechs have puns for names, really. We've got Shovacera. He's a Tyrannosaurus that's a Triceratops that's a shovel, which is also kind of dumb. We've got Stegon Saw. He's a Stegosaurus with a saw on his head.
Now, originally, the Stegosaurus was for Kyoryu Blue. Now that's for Brave Kyoryu Black.
We've got Parasaurzer, which is a Parasaurolophus that has a laser in its mouth. And then we've got Rapax, which is a raptor with an axe for a tail.
I'm actually really down with that.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. So they combined to make 2 new kinds of Zords, Megazords.
2 new mecha combinations.
Yeah.
Brave Kyoryujin, and then if you switch out Black and Blue's arms For pink and green, you get Brave Kyoryugen Western, which of course is reminiscent of the name scheme there for the mech in Kyoryuger.
So before we wrap this story up, I kind of want to go into the implications that this now creates now that we have Korea in the game making their own Sentai, their own Power Rangers that are tied into Saban and to Toei at the same time, okay? Well, one, what does this mean culturally speaking? Now that this sounds like now any country can make their own adaptation, it would almost seem. And then similarly, each and every one of these actors have proven themselves to be able to sing and dance.
Yes.
They are performers. Does this it's pretty much up the standards of who they have to begin picking for Sentai or for Power Rangers?
Okay, so let's look into that. As far as Power Rangers is concerned, no, it's not going to affect Power Rangers in the slightest.
Probably not,
because
no.
Power Rangers is kind of an island unto itself, where aside from when they absolutely have to do it, really over the last week for the movie, they try to act like Super Sentai doesn't exist.
It's very depressing.
It's very depressing. Now, admittedly, what they're doing here with this series is something people were complaining that Saban should have done from the beginning. Just take the suits and make your own footage. That is literally what they're doing here.
Yes, yes.
They're creating their own footage, they've got their own suits, they're sourcing things out from Toei, like, hey, we'll use them, but we're telling our own story
It's
here.
a literal straight-up continuation, a sequel series, though. We don't know exactly how much time has passed.
Or if any time has passed.
No,
we don't know.
we do know. We know time has passed. We do not know how much time has passed.
Now,
I also don't know whether this is supposed to actually take place in Korea or not.
That we don't know
really
yet either.
Know.
We'll see here in a few weeks. But the thing to point out here is the fact that, yes, you're right. At this point, this does set a whole new precedent for any other very entertainment-minded country who wants to get in on this. Now you can see, no, we'll totally work with you and do this.
Now, granted, they specifically got Toei's directorial and stunt team,
yes.
correct? Now, granted, Japan and Korea is just... It's really
not
not all
skip, and
that.
a jump.
It's not all that far to travel. I get the feeling you can't say the same thing if, say, like Tokusatsu's hot in Brazil, for example.
Yes.
I get this feeling they would not do the same thing if Brazil decided they wanted to make their own Power Rangers spinoff. Because tons of these guys in their own K-pop bands, take for example Red, his name is Kim Se-young. He's currently a member of the K-pop band My Name, and they're relatively popular right now. And also there's both Blue and Black, Oh Se-hyun and Hong Sung-ho. Both of them are from the band A Piece, and they have Japanese singles, lots of Japanese singles, so they're already kind of in a popular circle within Japan, which is part of why I think they went ahead and said, okay, we'll take some Korean K-pop artists because we're already semi-familiar with them. That's why I'm not sure they would actually go for the same thing in another country. Like, I'm using Brazil just as an example because I know how hot Tokusatsu is in Brazil. So it's hard for me to say, but I can't help but feel like this creates a brand new Tokusatsu community, at least in Korea, and might open up an entirely new set of audiences' eyes to what Tokusatsu is if you're starting to bring K-pop artists in, because K-pop in and of itself is so friggin' hot, and there's people who are like, I will follow X member of X band to the ends of the earth until the day he dies, and then they'll find out what Tokusatsu is.
Yes, and that opens the door even further for more people to find out about it. And admittedly, we could talk about this much longer here in the post-show wrap-up chat, but we do have to kind of move on here. But admittedly, yes, this is very exciting. And that goes along with the spirit of what Kyoryuger is originally. You know, they were very energetic characters, you know, moving along with the rhythm of these dinosaur spirits, you know, flowing through them. The original was one of my favorite series, as I've said before. Hopefully they're carrying that same feeling over into this adaptation. And yeah, this could open the door to a lot of other people who may not have given Tokusatsu or Super Sentai or Power Rangers a chance. So yeah, hopefully other countries will feel inspired to get in on this, maybe
and
even
other
adapt
communities.
other properties. You know, we might see a Korean adaptation of Kamen Rider at some point because
That
of
would
this.
be fun.
That would be
really
great.
Fun, yeah.
So yeah, we're very much looking forward to this, and we'll definitely share our thoughts with it once it airs.
Definitely. So we will move on. Finally, remember we're going to be talking about the Spider-Man Homecoming trailer now.
Now, admittedly, yes, we will set that up for you guys. So, admittedly, for those of you who are spoiler phobes, there's quite a bit of footage shown here. So, if you already haven't watched it, we'll understand if you want to click out for.
So
for
I am a little bit concerned about how much footage this trailer shows. That is all I will say. I don't think it spoils like everything there is to the movie, but I feel like it's a significant amount. So I am about to click this button that's going to show the trailer.
Push
in the
a
background.
button.
I'm pushing the button, guys. So there you go. That was your warning. Spider-Man Homecoming. Yay, let's get it to actually play in the background here.
Okay, so for this movie here, which is of course coming out later this summer in July, so admittedly I've been looking forward to it. You know, ever since his debut there in Civil War last year, I've liked this new take on Peter Parker
Sure.
and the Legend of Spider-Man here. Admittedly, now he's in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We see the little ties in all over the place. Of course, you know, we see Tony Stark there. In a second, we'll see him in class, and he's watching a video with Captain America there in his Avengers outfit.
Yes.
Specifically from the first Avengers movie. We see him there. Yeah, he's back in high school again because we have to keep Peter
Well,
Parker.
at least he looks like a high schooler.
Yeah, admittedly, now I believe him there in that role. And he's playing it very well. You know, I absolutely think it was great casting to have Tom Holland here in the role now. The question is now, how is this all going to fit the Spider-Man portion of the Marvel Universe, which is, of course, vast over many, many decades. How we're going to show all that here, adding that into the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Right.
Now, they have gone ahead and revealed how specifically Michael Keaton's take on Vulture fits in here. So he is a scavenger here. He's not a rich man. Adrian Toombs, in most cases, is either an inventor or a rich guy. Here, he's a scavenger. What he does is he rounds up all the loose alien tech or super high-tech hardware that gets left after super battles, and then he and his guys, who are specifically Shocker and Tinkerer, we've confirmed that, put them together to turn into new weapons to sell to other people, and that's where Spider-Man comes across them,
Right.
and then has to stop them. So that in and of itself is a good enough movie. I'm absolutely down with that. A grassroots approach to potentially seeing other Spider-Man villains get their powers this way.
However, I very strongly feel like the studio clearly didn't think that was enough. For some reason, they felt like, well, nobody's gonna just watch Spider-Man. We still need this holdover with Iron Man in it. Like, Spider-Man wasn't good enough all on his own, that we still needed... And this trailer, the last trailer, it was like, oh, that's nice, Iron Man's in it. Now, this trailer is like, no, Iron Man's in it.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, we'll have to see whether or not it's any more than that. I really hope it's not. Because the last thing I'd want is, like, Iron Man... Where are we at now? Iron Man 4? Iron Man 4
Yeah.
featuring Spider-Man?
That's what some people are saying here in the chat also.
Yeah, so really what we're saying is... Now, a lot of people have been talking about this Destroyer. I see what you're saying there. People are asking, you know, Peter's got his friend there who eventually does find out that he's Spider-Man, you know, asking all these questions like, do you know Captain America? These other things? What else did Iron Man give you? I just want him to say real quick, did he give you a big robot? That's all I want. I want that one line.
I want somebody to legitimize Leopardon. Please.
Just give me something. Please.
Or the Spider Machine
GP7.
GP7. Either
And
one.
specifically the Spider Machine GP7, not the Spider Buggy.
But more specifically, we want Leopardon.
I want Leopardon.
I named my computer after the GP7. I named my car after the Leopardon, even though it really should maybe be the other way around.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'd rather my car be Leopardon.
Yes.
I'd rather think my car is a giant spider robot.
Now,
Spider lion robot.
Spider lion robot.
No, spider leopard robot.
Okay.
I'm done.
All right. So point being, a lot of this trailer does seem to line up with a spoiler post that was made several months ago on a different website. I won't say which one, you know, just to protect people from spoilers. But it does seem to line up with that description of what I'm seeing here very solidly. A good.
So somebody knew.
Somebody knew. Somebody did get a look at the script for my money. That having been said, if they're following that script that I read, this could potentially be the best Spider-Man movie I've ever seen.
I hope so, but I was also hearing a little earlier today that they were saying, look guys, this amazing deal we worked out with to do Spider-Man, after this movie and its sequel movie that we're lined up to do, this may never happen again. So you better enjoy it now while it lasts, or hopefully this works out for them so well that Sony realizes, oh crap, we can't afford not to be in this partnership anymore.
Yeah, because I'll ask Sony the same question I asked DC earlier in the show. Sony, do you want to make money?
Yeah.
Can you afford to stay on your high horse, or do I need to drag out the last Fantastic Four movie and remind you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're gonna keep making these movies.
Exactly.
Okay, and the thing about it is, one thing I'm very happy about, and this has been a complaint I had in the other Spider-Man movies, not that I didn't like them, or their portrayals of Peter Parker, I'm just very much a fan of the fact that we see him actively using his original suit before he found a way to get a better suit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, admittedly, in the original trilogy, and I'm talking about, of course, back in 2002 with Tobey Maguire, they never explain in the movies how he gets his costume.
Right.
He just goes from sweatpants
to, I made this. No, you didn't.
No, I don't even think he mentions it. Or no, he does.
He does.
In Spider-Man 2, he does say that. But aside from that, it's like, how'd you get that? Because one of the big telltale things about Peter Parker is that he does not come from affluence. He's down on his luck, living there with his aunt, trying to get by.
Now, I would believe that somebody could go and buy a Zentai suit and then make a cool design out of it,
and that's
and sew something together, maybe something better than what he crafts himself in this movie, but not, clearly not Tony Stark levels of ingenuity.
Well, I'm talking about the Tobey Maguire one there, where we don't get a full explanation, and then we see him kind of starting to build it there in Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But admittedly, it was kind of funny watching him go from, okay, I'm wearing my normal clothes and a hoodie, and then I'm wearing a balaclava, then I'm wearing a balaclava with shades, and then, nope, we're going full Lycra now. I've been through Cosplay Melee. I know what to do. That was kind of weird seeing that jump.
Yeah.
Whereas here, it's kind of befitting of the comic books. It's like, no, Tony saw that Peter needed an upgrade, he gave him an upgrade, and that's where he got the suit. I believe that a lot easier than the other two.
It is very interesting to see that he has to get it taken away from him, then go back to this really kind of mashed together gloves and sweater and goggles and stuff, but it means that by some point by the end of it, he either proves himself or he proves that he's really needed, and he's gonna have to get the suit back, and it's gonna be this great, yay, he's got the suit back moment.
Yeah.
So I do not know what that moment is, but I already feel like, well, I already know how this is gonna go.
And admittedly, I do see that their Calvin Cat, his proto suit, however you want to call it there, his vigilante suit, does look very reminiscent of the Scarlet Spider. It's just inverted colors.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that nod as well. Like this one, more so than the others, is very aware of its comic roots.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate that so much, especially with those Ditko eyes.
Yeah,
the expressiveness there that we haven't been able to get in the other movies, because we have the Tony Stark explanation. You need to be able to see better? I'll rig that for you.
Mm-hmm.
But you even see there, even in his homemade costume, he figured out a way to get them to move up and down as irises.
Yeah.
So that also shows Peter's intelligence and ingenuity.
Yeah, it was Chaos Hawk who said it, not Captain Calvin. It's the thing.
Then it was going, when it scrolls past, it was hard to see there. But yes, I do very much appreciate that. I'm very much looking forward to this movie. We got the friggin' Spider Tracer. For once, they're remembering all his tech. He has a reason for his tech.
Mm-hmm.
I do agree with you. We'll most likely see him back in that suit by the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a concern that they've shown too much, but hopefully, Marvel hasn't been that stupid, really, as far as these things go.
In general, no. Not nearly DC
I can only
levels
hope,
of stupid.
Yeah, not DC levels. That's some other kind of very dumb decision.
Yeah, we haven't been doing our homework, and we've been making terrible execution plans, yeah.
But for this specifically, I can only hope that at this point, they've got a proven track record. I trust them that they haven't shown me everything. They wouldn't just give that away.
Well, that was certainly true of the third Captain America movie, where it felt like they gave quite a bit away, and then it turned out, oh, there was just stuff that I just had no idea that they kept this much hidden, and they did it, or they filmed some things that just were not actually truly there. Lots of red herrings were placed into that trailer, so maybe they did the same thing again here. Maybe we're all being lied to right now, and maybe that's for the best. Maybe they're spoiling us because it's not actually spoilers and it's all lies. Maybe that's what it is. I almost hope that's what it is, because I still want to be left in some sort of suspense.
Yes,
That
but
would be nice.
I will go ahead and give them the benefit of the doubt. I feel that by this point, having seen so many successes out of them, personally, I feel I owe them that much.
Yes, very true. All right, we had better wrap this up.
Okay,
so,
yes.
Thank you so much, as always, for coming and hanging out with us this evening. And if you're still here with us live right now, please continue to hang out with us for an additional half an hour so that we can do our Q&A time with you. If you're not here with us live right now, I really wish you would be. So please start coming down to see us every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Central. That's both on youtube.com/MarsGirl/live, as well as on twitch.tv/MarsGirl.
Yes, and during the week, you can always talk to us over on social media. On Twitter, I'm at JoshKnight1st.
And I'm at MarsGirl.
And that having been said, that's been tonight's episode of Beyond the Black Rims. We'll see you guys again next week. Take it away, Danny.
Danny is a young sci-fi writer living in the UK. Everything was going great until one day he was captured by a beautiful woman, terrifyingly hot. Her name is Morphine, and she'll make you scream. Get ready for your adrenaline shot, 'cause she locked him up in the basement. She tortures him day and night, whips and chains and moans and pain. She forces him to